All right, class, today we're going to work on comparing slopes and y-intercept. Yesterday we wrote notes on making comparisons, and one of those things that we talked about, or a couple of those things that we talked about, is that a linear equation graphs a straight line. The linear equations that we're going to be dealing with are going to be written in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where your m is the slope. And we wrote the definition for slope. It's the steepness of a line. It's how steep the line is. And the y-intercept. Your y-intercept is your starting amount, or it's where your line crosses the y-axis. And we wrote those things down in our notes yesterday. Please make sure that you read over your notes because it'll be easier for you to remember if you just spend a little bit of time reading over those notes. Okay? All right, if you are trying to find the slope of a table, then you're going to use this formula, okay? If you are trying to find the y-intercept of a table, you're going to look for when x is equal to 0, and I need to put that here. When x is equal to 0, and we wrote this down in our notes, but we need to look for when x is equal to 0, whatever that y value is going to be the y-intercept. So this is what you look for, okay? Whatever this y value is, whenever x is equal to 0, that y value is going to be the y-intercept. If it doesn't give you this, then you're going to use y equals mx plus b to find your slope. To find your y-intercept. And I'm going to show you how to do that. That's a review. We wrote notes on that. Maybe you forgot. Maybe when we did it, you don't remember it, or maybe you never really learned it because you didn't know what this lady was talking about. All right, graph. If you have a graph and you're trying to find the slope, in the graph, you use rise over run, okay? That's what they're talking about here. You're going to use, and I'm going to put right here, rise over run. They wrote it in words when they could have just put the formula. This words is basically just talking about rise over run. They wrote it in words, but really all they're saying is use rise over run. Okay? For a graph, if you're finding the y-intercept, you're just going to find where the line crosses the y-axis. Wherever it crosses the y-axis, that's going to be your y-intercept. That's going to be your y-intercept. So that's what we're getting ready to do. We're getting ready to find the slope and the y-intercept of either an equation or a table. Okay? Or a graph. Equation, table, or graph. All right. So let's look at this first one here. The slope, this is an equation. The slope is going to be the number that's attached to the x. Remember, it's y, which f of x is y. This is y, is equal to mx plus b. So my slope is this negative 1/2. It's the number that's attached to x. So my slope is negative 1/2. It's the number that's attached to the x. Please write that in, or type that in, or use the writing tool, okay? And your y-intercept, or your b, okay, your b is this negative 2. That's the number that has no variable attached to it. So we're going to put negative 2 here, okay? All right. Any questions about how I figured out what the slope was or the y-intercept? Big or small, ask them all. Okay, make sure you fill in the blanks, okay? All right, let's look at the table. Let's look at this table. We're trying to find the slope of a table. Remember, when you're trying to find the slope of a table, you use this formula here. So that's the formula that I'm going to put it, well, it's right here, but I'm going to write it again. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Just so you'll know, this is the formula that I use to find the slope when it's a table. So now I'm going to pick 2 points. I can choose any 2 points in this table. And the table is going sideways, so my points are going like this: X, Y, X, Y, X, Y, X, Y. I'm gonna choose the 2 easiest points. First of all, this is an easy point because it's got 0 in it, okay? So you know I'm gonna choose that one. And then this got 2 and -2. I'm gonna go ahead and choose that one because those are low numbers also. So I have 0 and 1 and 2 and -2. Can I use any points I want? I absolutely can use any 2 points that I want. If you have a question, do not hesitate to ask, okay? Do not hesitate to ask. Please do what I'm doing. Do it when I do it, because you don't want to have to go back and do this later. Because most of the time we say, oh, I'm going to do it later. No, you ain't. You ain't doing this later. You ain't doing this later. You got to be honest with yourself, okay? All right, so now we're going to label these points so we can substitute those numbers into the formula. This is my first point. This is x1, y1. The first number is your x. The second number is your y. Since this is the first point that we wrote, we're going to say x1, y1. Okay?
Any of this sound familiar to my math study skills class?
Yeah. You remember? Okay.
Somewhat. You'll get there.
Yeah, it's all right. The second
daily in there.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for doing that.
The first value is your x value. The second one's your y. When you have two ordered pairs, you've got your x1, y1.
Okay, y'all can probably hear Miss Moore in the background telling us she preached this every day. All right. This is x1, y1. This was x1, y1. This is x2, y2. Sorry about that, y'all. First point, second point. Okay? So now we're going to plug these numbers right here into this formula. In the formula, it says y2 minus y1. So y2 is -2. Minus is a part of the formula. Then it says y1. Y1 is right here. It's 1. Now we're going to put on the bottom x2 minus x1. x2 is right here. It's 2. Minus is a part of the formula. x1 is 0. Okay? Excuse me. So here we have -2 minus 1. Look, if you forget, there's no harm in using your calculator. I'm going to go ahead and take mine now so you don't have to feel bad about it. Okay? There's no harm in using your calculators to do this. Okay? It's no harm at all. I'm not going to pull the one up on my screen because you won't be able to see it in my video. So I'm going to use the physical one. So here, this is how you type in a -2. Do not forget about the negative sign that's at the bottom of the calculator right here. Negative. Use the negative, okay? Then type in 2. So that's what it looks like. Then minus 1. And that's what gives you the -3 on the top. And on the bottom, 2 minus 0 is just going to be 2. So this is your slope here. -3 over 2. The decimal for that, when I type in -3 divided by 2, that's how I write the fraction. And I'm going to press enter so it gives me the decimal. It's going to be a -1/5. So it's either or. This is the fraction form. This is the decimal form, okay? Now your y-intercept in the table. Look, in a table, your y-intercept is going to be wherever you see x is equal to 0. X is equal to 0 right here. Do you see that? So my y-intercept is 1. Okay. Make sure that you have that copied. Are there any questions about that? Okay. The slope, the decimal here for slope, I should have put that also, is going to be 0.5. And for the slope, the one they're both going down. This is negative. They're both going down because of the negative. But the one that's going down at a faster rate is going to be the negative 0.5. It's going down at a faster rate. Even though if you look at negative and positive, this number is smaller, but when the way you read slope is going to be different. This is going down at 1.5, but this is going down by 0.5. So the one that's going down faster is the negative 1.5. Okay. So the slope for the table is going to go down at a faster rate. The slope of the table is going down at a faster rate. Okay. And I'll pause for the calls to give you a chance to write and process. So, any questions? Let's look at the y-intercepts. The y-intercept of the table is greater. You see how this is 1 and this is negative 2? The y-intercept of the table is greater. The y-intercept of the table is greater. Okay. Make sure that you copy that down. I'll pause for the calls, okay? All right. So let's look at this. Now they're asking you for a slope of f, and they're talking about the equation. This one right here, because it says f of x, which is the same as saying y is equal to this, but they're going to call this equation f. Let me pause for the call. Okay, so here, this equation, this is my f of x equation. You see, this is f. This over here, you see how it says g of x? This is g. Okay, that's how they distinguish the difference in the equations. You can use any letter you want. It's still y is equal to blah, 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 y is equal to blah, blah, blah. This is just telling you this is the f equation and this is the g equation. That's just the difference, okay? It's just the name. That's all it is. All right, so let's look at the f equation first. Let's look at f of x. All right, first. The slope, it's an equation. The slope is going to be the number that's in front of the x. Remember, y equals mx plus b. M is attached to x. So my slope is going to be 6. So my slope for this equation right here is 6. Any questions about that? Okay. My slope, we're going to do now the slope of g of x. That's the line here. I have to pick 2 good points on this line, okay? 2 points that I can actually read. I can read this ordered pair is 0, 0. Okay? And I can read this ordered pair right here, which is over 1, it's positive 1, and down 1, 2, 3. It's negative 3. So you have to make sure that the 2 points you use, you know the ordered pairs for them, or don't use those 2 points. Notice how this slope is going down, so it's negative. Okay. My rise over my run, remember I use rise over run. My rise is up 1, 2, 3. So my top number is 3. And my run is to the left 1. So when I reduce negative 3 over 1, this is just going to give me a negative 3. So my slope is going to be negative 3. Okay. Now I'm looking at my y-intercept, my b. My y-intercept of f, that's the equation here. My y-intercept is the number that's not attached to the x, which is negative 1. So my y-intercept is negative 1. Okay. My y-intercept of G is over here. My y-intercept of a line is where the line crosses the y-axis. This is the y-axis. The line crosses the y-axis right here at 0. So my y-intercept is 0. It crosses the y-axis right here at 0. Okay. So let's interpret what this means when we're comparing the equation to the graph. Let's look at the slopes first. This slope right here is going up 6, and this is going down 3. This is still going at a faster rate. Okay, it's going at a faster rate upward. So the slope of the equation is greater. Okay, the slope of the equation is greater. And I'll pause for the calls. All right, let's look at the y-intercept, okay? We got the y-intercepts here. The y-intercept 0 is actually greater than -1. So the y-intercept of the line is greater. The y-intercept of the line is greater. Okay. And I'll pause for the calls and put a period at the end of my sentence. All right, we're going to do one more, and then we're going to go to I ready. All right, so let's do this one. All right, so it says find the slopes of the linear functions f and g, then compare the slopes like we've been doing in the previous problems. All right, so the slope of the equation, because we're saying f first, this is the f of x function. What is the slope of this equation? Yeah, can anybody tell me what the slope of the equation is? You zoom in a little bit. Yes. It's very good. It's 5. Just leave the x off, okay? Good job. So it's the number that's in front of the x, and it's just 5. Great job, babe. Okay. So now we're going to find the slope of this table, okay? We're going to find the slope of the table now. So in order to find the slope of the table, what we do is we use the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? That's what we do. All right. We're going to pick 2 points. I'm going to choose 2 easy points. Look, this has 0 in it. I'm going to choose this one. Less work, right? And then I'm going to choose this one because it's ones. I mean, that's less work too, right? So I got 2 points. First point is 0, comma, -3. This is x, this is y. Okay. This is x1, y1. My second point is 1 and -1. So for 1, comma, -1. This is x2 is the second point, y2 because it's the second point. Okay. Any questions about that? You can choose any 2 points you want. Okay. Now we are going to plug these values into the formula. Okay. Let's plug them in. We got y2, which is -1. You see how this is -1? Negative or minus is a part of the formula. We got y1, which is -3. So this is what goes on top. On the bottom, we have x2, which is 1. We have minus, okay? We have x1, which is 0. Don't forget, there's no shame in making sure that it's right. And I'm going to show you. I'm the teacher. I'm going to show you. In typing this in your calculator if you don't remember your rules for integers. Don't forget that your negative sign is at the bottom of the calculator here, okay? Minus, well, don't forget to put 1. Negative 1 minus negative 3. And this is what you have. Okay, when you press enter there, that gives you 2 on the top. And of course, 1 minus 0, when you type it in, you're going to get 1. So your answer for M is going to be 2. So this is going up by 5s. This is going up by 2s. Okay? They're both positive. We're making this observation. So the slope of the equation is greater. The slope of the equation is greater. Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to stop it here. Pause for the cause. All right, please make sure that if you need to, please rewatch the video and we'll complete the rest of this assignment on Thursday. All right.